So continuing on my previous video on why is the nation so fat, and yes, that is a picture of me. Don't expose yourself like that to anyone. So the number one reason is insulin resistance, and I covered that in another video. And the second one is we are eating too often and not giving our bodies a rest. So this is the whole purpose of intermittent fasting, which I do myself, and it is to give your body a rest. I do around 16-8. Well, a lot of the time I try to do 24, which is the one that suits me the best. If I do 16-8, sometimes the eating window is a little bit too wide. 8 hours being the eating window, 16 hours being the rest, including your sleep time. And then every so often I do a longer fast, although I haven't done one in a while, in about 4 months. So the next one is we are eating too many refined carbs. So the carbs that I eat, like yesterday I had a big bowl of Brussels sprouts with a load of cheese. That was my dinner. Yeah, I had some raw ginger and that kind of stuff with raw garlic, blah, blah. So the Brussels sprouts are considered to be carbs, but because they have such a high fiber content and they're natural, we don't count their carb content. What I do is I allocate 5 grams of carbs. When I'm doing strict keto, I allocate 5 grams of carbs to my eating. I'm on weight loss at the moment, so I'm trying not to eat. I'm still a bit sloppy, not in terms of carbs, refined carbs. I'm still a bit sloppy in terms of the length of my eating window. I'm starting a little bit too early and finishing a little bit too late, so it's going more than 16-8. And it doesn't suit me for weight loss. I noticed that the very first time when I started doing this in 2023, early 2023, with the weight loss, and it went really well, was to keep the eating window as tight as possible. So 4 hours seems to be the best for me. OMAD doesn't suit me. That's 1 meal a day. I did that as well for a while. It does work, definitely. It's very good. You've got 20, but it's a little inane or mundane, or I don't know the word for it. Like, I think I do need to eat 2 meals, and you're not going to get them done, eat 2 meals in one sitting. So I like to have, say, 1 meal, which would be a little bit larger, and then a little snack, which might be a bit of cheese and nuts or something like that. I stay away from nuts now. That's one thing I've learned the second time around. The first time I did not eat nuts at all, but I introduced them into my keto diet for a bit of variety later on. A big mistake in terms of weight loss. So if you're on weight loss, I would say stay away from the nuts. And I absolutely love nuts. They are so delicious. But anyway, look, just for the weight loss period, which is February and March for me, even though February hasn't started yet, I'm getting an all head start in there. So I might get a bottle of wine in by the end of March. So we are eating too many refined carbs. So let's say I do eat some refined carbs, like some wholemeal bread or something today, I won't lose any weight. I might not gain weight, but I won't lose any weight. And I've noticed that. I've done loads of different tests, loads of different ways of eating, loads of different time periods, loads of lengthening my eating window, shortening my eating window, introducing refined carbs on some level. One day I ate only a spoonful of white rice and I did not lose weight that day. So just be careful if you're on weight loss and you're doing ketogenic, but mainly for me as well is the cleaning out of the inside. So after several weeks of eating a lot of refined carbs over Christmas and drinking a lot of alcohol, my insides are kind of sludgy and slow, and that affects every part of your body. This is something that was all new to me when I discovered what's the difference in the ketogenic diet and other diets. And to be honest, that is one of my main drivers now, is to clean out the insides. But I don't want to be too much of a good girl. Like I'm all for certain times when you do eat refined carbs, but to limit it. So we are eating too much sugar. So sugar and carbs is the same thing, but sugar is just more intensified. We are consuming soda and diet soda too often. Now, I'm not totally against diet soda. Say if it's a Diet Coke, now and again, I don't have a big issue with that. I didn't do a test on the CGM, the continuous glucose monitor, for Diet Coke. I should have really, but maybe the next time. I still have my CGM thing, so I must get the little sensor. I might do that again. So just give up the sugary drinks because it's just too much sugar. It's spiking your insulin, and then you're going into fat storage. So you're definitely not going to lose any weight. And we are not minding our gut microbiome. So this is more of a longer term thing. It's not so much to do with weight loss. Just mind your gut microbiome. I definitely like to have fiber, but recently I introduced a lot more steak into our lives, and I will say that you do feel really good on the inside. I can see why the carnivores are addicted to that lifestyle, and it is really, really good. But at the end of the day, it's not really realistic for most people in terms of cost and in terms of just boredom. So I like to have a bit of a mix, and I can be quite vegetarian at times, so I'm not always, but definitely a good steak with garlic butter, you would really feel good, really feel good. We don't know how to manage our health, and we expect to get sick as we age. That's another thing that's pretty. Sorry, my kids are going off to the bus to school. So I'm watching them going down the lane. So we expect to get sick as we age. So that's another thing that I found hard concept myself to get around is I expected myself that, at a certain point you're going to start getting sick, you're going to start, because of age and whatever. And I realized you can actually, I'm not saying that you're going to feel like you're 15 again. But yeah, it's a difficult, it was a difficult one to feel like, oh, it's okay not to get sick. And I can tell you, my doctor is not supportive. They think I'm nuts. I'm nuts because I feel really healthy. I feel great. I feel full of energy. I'm very flexible. Now I could be doing a bit more walking. I started one day of walking in the last 7 weeks, and I haven't gone back. So that is something. When you're doing weightless, you kind of do need to walk extra. You need to do 3 at least half hours a day and 2 full hours over 5 days. You could have 2 days of rest, but you definitely need to up the walking if you want to get the calorie. If you want to shift the fat, you got to get the metabolism working a bit more at a high level. But definitely the doctors, like I've been in for 3 lots of blood tests now since starting ketogenic diet, and there is huge negativity towards I like waffle on them, preventing illness. They think I'm mad. They think that is quite, you have to be quite strong to resist folding to that kind of attitude. And it's not just them, but I limit what I say to them now. And I just go about and get my blood tests done. In fact, the nurse was probably a lot more open about it than the 2 doctors, who themselves are very fit and healthy, but very negative towards my efforts to prevent, but of course that's not what they're trained in. They're trained in dealing with the illness. So they don't really want healthy people like me coming to their office for blood tests that they don't think I should be getting. So anyway, but you've got to kind of fight against this. And I've learned that over the years anyway. It's a lot of the time with even when you do have an illness, you know more most of the time than the flipping doctor. And I had one doctor recently and they were laughing at me for checking up Dr. Google. Thank God. Thank God. So I'll talk to you later, and I will next be doing how can the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting help?